Okay, you know that feeling? Your team has a really tough meeting, you talk it all through, it seems like everyone's on board, you reach an agreement, and then, yep, 3 weeks later, you're having the exact same conversation all over again. Sound familiar? Well, what if I told you that's not really a meeting problem? It's a decision problem, and fixing it means we need a totally new way to look at the quality of our decisions, something we're now calling Decision Reliability Infrastructure, or DRI for short. So let's just dive right into that. The real reason you're having that meeting for the second or maybe even third time is because the decision never actually closed in the first place. We all just assume that when a meeting ends, a decision has been made. But honestly, that assumption is often just plain wrong. So why does this keep happening? Well, it all comes down to what you could call the illusion of agreement. It's this tricky situation where what you see in the room is completely different from what's actually going on under the surface. And that illusion, that leads directly to something called decision churn. Here's the key takeaway. A decision only, and I mean only, closes when three things are true. 1, there's a clear choice. 2, there's a named owner. And 3, this is the most important part, everyone in that room would describe the outcome in the exact same way. If you have anything less than that, you're pretty much just scheduling your next meeting. Now, this is where it gets really interesting when we break down what fake agreement actually looks like. In the meeting, you see nods, you see people being quiet, and you think, great, we have consensus. But what's really happening? Someone in that room has a major objection, but they're staying silent. Maybe it feels too risky to speak up, or they don't want to be the one to derail things. That silence gets mistaken for agreement, but the objection doesn't just vanish, oh no. It comes back later as a delayed project or maybe just some passive resistance. The coordination you thought you had, it never really happened. And this whole cycle of fake agreement and decision churn, well, it isn't free. It comes with a very real, measurable cost. It's probably best to think of it as a hidden coordination tax that your organization is paying. Okay, first, chew on this number. A full 84% of the global workforce now operates in these complex, matrixed organizations where authority is all spread out. And that kind of environment, it's the perfect breeding ground for these kinds of coordination failures. So, what's the result of that? Well, get this. A staggering 77% of workers say they regularly attend meetings that end with, you guessed it, a decision to just schedule another meeting. That right there, that is decision churn in action. And the cost? In a company with about 1,000 people, all that wasted manager time from poor collaboration costs over $874,000 every single year. And honestly, that's probably a lowball estimate. It is a massive invisible tax on everyone's productivity. Now, organizations have definitely tried to fix this. I mean, we've all seen the new tools get rolled out. But as we're about to see, all those tools, they've only been treating the symptoms, not the actual disease. Let's just do a quick walk through history here. First, we got transcription tools, which were great at capturing what was said. Then came conversation intelligence, which analyzed how it was said. After that, we got all these workflow management tools to track our action items. And look, each one was an improvement, but they all missed the most fundamental thing. None of them could tell you if the decisions behind all those words and actions were actually real. They left this huge gap. So if all that other stuff didn't work, how do we finally address that gap? Well, it takes a completely different way of thinking, one that's all about diagnosing the silence, about figuring out what's missing from the conversation. And this quote, this just nails the core idea behind DRI. It's a type of software that does something totally different. It analyzes what didn't happen. It's literally built to find the absence of closure, to spot that gap between the decision process you say you have and what actually goes down. Here's probably the best way to think about it. Engineering teams would never ship code without observability tools to monitor for errors and bugs. I mean, that would be completely insane, right? And yet, organizations are running their most critical system, the human decision-making layer, completely blind. DRI is all about instrumenting that decision layer, just like observability tools instrument a technical system. So you might be wondering, okay, why is this all happening right now? It really comes down to two major shifts creating a perfect storm. First, the organizational shift. With remote and hybrid work, all those informal ways of reading the room just vanished. They became invisible. And second, the technical shift. The rise of LLMs finally gave us the technology to analyze the deep meaning of conversations at a massive scale, to understand what was truly meant, not just what was said. This is so much more than just a new tool. This is a whole new capability that is going to fundamentally change how organizations work. So, where is this all going? What's the future look like? Well, we're seeing three big things starting to happen. First, decision reliability is going to become a core executive metric, right up there with revenue and retention. Second, it's finally going to close the gap between those governance frameworks on paper, things like ROSI that say who's responsible, accountable, etc., and how work actually gets done. And finally, it's going to shine a light on those big, systemic, cross-team failures that no single team can ever see on its own. Which really leaves us with one final and I think crucial question to think about. Your company has an operating model written down somewhere. It exists on paper. But with this new way of seeing things, you really have to ask yourself, is it actually real?